Welcome back everybody, here on JustDaZack, what's my mission to show you guys a hopefully interesting video game almost every day. This time we are going to have a look at the Refugees Ticket to Europe, a choose-your-own adventure-style game which, well, has this admittedly very serious and important theme of refugees in, well, we would have guessed Europe, right? So I'm usually, you guys know, I'm a big fan of choose-your-own adventure-style games, mainly in the theme of fantasy. But I've seen the screenshots, I've seen the trailer, and this seems very, very interesting. So I requested a key. For transparency here, I got one as well. On top of this, what I found very interesting about this game is that the development team actually reached out to different, what are these societies that take care of this? I actually don't know the English term right now, but you guys know what I mean, what I try to say. People who try to help refugees, organizations, and also refugees themselves. So they took their time, went out there, had interviews, and also, if I recall this correctly, 5% of all the money they earn with this game is going to be, will be used to help refugees. So that's a very appealing, very interesting point. So to some extent, this entire story that we are going to experience together, well, at least the start, again, this is the first impression series, and at the end of the video, I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion. But yeah, we're going to experience this together, which is at least somewhat based on true experiences of, well, true and real people. So I'm very much interested to see how this is gonna go. This is a serious theme, so I, for transparency here as well, what's my expectation going into this game? Frankly, very high. This has to be taken serious, and the writing has to be on a certain quality. That's what I expect. That's kind of what I want out of this. Again, just to throw it out there, what kind of expectation I'm gonna go into this game with. But now, without further ado, let's hit new game and see what this game offers. The Refugees Ticket to Europe. And as always, link to this game is down in the description. You are frustrated. You are a frustrated 30-something wannabe writer from Warsaw who decides to make something out of himself. You will amaze the literary world with your earth-shattering book about refugees. It will inspire crowds and galvanize hearts, and expand minds, and change the world in all the right ways. Before you prepare your Nobel Prize acceptance speech, there's only the trivial matter of, well, actually traveling to Africa to gather some notes for the story. You have an ingenious plan to smuggle yourself onto one of the illegal boats that travel to Europe from the shores of Africa, while pretending to be a refugee yourself. Surely, nothing can go wrong and you are not completely out of your depth. Surely, right? Okay, your main objective is to collect notebook entries which will allow you to write a better book. Meet people, explore places, gain experiences. Be perceptive and inquisitive. Any information can be relevant. Any person can become your protagonist. Wait, what? Any person can become your protagonist. Interesting. Write down everything that seems significant, interesting and surprising to you. Become a writer. The flight is in a couple of hours. Alright. Prologue. Click here to proceed. I will click here. Ooh, nice art style. Chapter 1. Home. Bitter home. The cursor is blinking on the white background of an empty page. Your flight is in a couple of hours. 30 years of life contained in 38 square meters. That is definitely a very small flat. Wow. I mean, I'm 30 years myself, but, well, I'm sharing that with my girlfriend, so technically, do I have more or less to live? It was 2014 when I first heard about the boat sinking in the Mediterranean. Where did that cat go? I think I'm going to take a nap before my flight. Okay. So these are some weird choices. I like our shadow here. Okay, before we click anything, so it's the 25th of January 2020. We have a notebook, which has no entries, and some text. We don't have any text. Fair enough. Oh man, guys, this is gonna be amazing with my absolute flawless English. It's gonna be a treat for you guys. Let's go with this. It was 2014. Tech added neutrality. Okay. It was 2014 when I first heard about the boat sinking in the Mediterranean. long before Polish journalists took note of the subject. At that time, news on refugees barely got through to the mainstream media. The competition was strong. The war in Ukraine, Russia's annexation of Crimea, the Ebola epidemic. In this light, few cared about stories of illegal voyages from Africa to Europe. Delete all. But what is this referring to, delete all? What would I also have the tag neutrality right now. Neutrality is a basic tool of this trade. As a journalist, I can't be biased. I need to stay impartial. Fair enough, so this is already a character trait. So I suppose this is kind of like the intro where we get the baseline of our character's personality down. I don't know what is meant with delete all though. What would I delete? My notes? Huh? I guess I've right on. I don't know what I would delete. Also interesting. Okay, this is this is the main menu. Don't know why there's a pause button, but sure, I write on, I guess. Meanwhile, against the trend, I've become attached to the subject of refugees like a suction cup to a shower door. I hope to milk it for the residual juices, oh god, and free myself from the arduous weightlessness of my existence. 6 years and dozens of books on the migration crisis later, I'm one flight away from looking into the eyes of the people whose tragedy protects me from taking antidepressants. I'm indulging myself. This is a good start. Wait, am I indulging myself into drugs? Antidepressants? We are taking antidepressants and this is where we want to go and smuggle ourselves as fake refugee? Oh, I'm not sure if that is a good combination. I don't know what this is completely referring to right now. This is not clear to me. I'm indulging myself in what? Into taking drugs? So let's just go with this is a good start. What is this referring to? This is a good start that I'm taking drugs? I guess. A moment's pause. I skim the text. I read it once, twice, 10 times. I savor these sentences. And perhaps it's not reportage in its purest form, neutral and objective, but it feels mine, personal. Calmness washes over me. The ritual is interrupted by the cat. Oh wow, nice art style here. I feel something rubbing up against my foot. There's my boy. The fluffiness of the cat's fur. The fluffiness of the cat's fur reminds me of childhood. Of some strange state of mind where unconditional happiness is possible. Without reason, without logical explanation, without any deeper causes. Just a primal, childlike joy, and the instant gratification I feel when I hear the fluff ball's velvety purrs. Now, I can't help myself either, and, well, why do you give me a choice when there's no choice? I give Angels a scratch. First at the back of his neck, then on his head, and finally, his favorite place which only his most trusted friends are allowed to touch, the fur on his face. Petting a cat resembles a trance or meditation. It rids the mind of any unnecessary thoughts. What is left is the pure physical act of direct contact between two living beings. I guess I wait for blissful purr. But it never comes. I scratch on. Silence. Angel seems unwell. He turns his head away and avoids my touch. At the same time, he doesn't attack me with his claws. He's not in the mood for playing either. He walks listless towards the radiator and snuggles down at its base, as if something were troubling him. Our guy is strangely fascinated with his cat. But maybe it's normal, I'm more of a dog type myself, but no. Perhaps he senses that I'm about to leave him. There are a couple of hours left until takeoff. Does Angels understand what the objects strewn around the backpack mean? Is that why he seems depressed? I can only hope that Hila will make it up to him. As I wait for her arrival, I decide to spend the rest of my time at the apartment, on my PlayStation, reading the news, packing, a nap. I guess packing, we really want to make sure we have everything. Packing. I will be gone for at least 15 days. but I have to fit all of my stuff into a small backpack. A rainproof jacket, t-shirts, and underwear. My wallet, documents, toiletries, phone charger, and 3 notebooks take up most of the space in the main compartment. I can just squeeze one book in. I'm still not sure which one I should choose. Jaroslav Mikolavsky's The Great Tide? Eliot Limonov's It's Me, Ellie. I don't know. This first one, what do I know? Notebook. Is this now part text missing cynicism? So, does this mean if I was a cynical person, something would have happened here? A non-fiction account of the narrator's journey to Lampedusa, which is brief but thick with content. The Italian island, 100 kilometers off the African coast, known for its surrounding Turkish sea and fabulous beaches, became a symbol of the migration crisis when hundreds of boats filled with refugees began reaching its shores. Although the book's just 130 pages long, I choose Mikolavsky's as the literacy patron of my expedition to Africa. I choose Mikolavsky as the literary patron. Or should I bring a different one? What does this first option tell me as a player? I don't know what this means. Is this just more description? Is this an active choice? I don't know. I chose this guy as my literary patron. We have an item. Tacked at the Great Tide. I slide the book into my backpack. I have 2 more side pockets left. Into the left one. I'll put something to lift up my mood. After all, refugees' stories can be traumatic. Over the past few days, I watched a series of interviews with volunteers who talked about their humanitarian burnout. They were overwhelmed by the scale of human tragedy and suffering they face in refugee camps. Just in case, I decide to pack condoms. Yeah, that's the first thing I would think about too. If I'm gonna go out, want and meet refugees, when I hear about their tragedy, which feels my human souls, that's also the first thing I think about. Man, I really need some condoms. I'm gonna get laid there. What? What? Okay. Also, there was a strangely essential thing about this person, Cat. I'm not sure what to think about this character right now. Let's take some drugs instead, I guess. Psychiatric medication. No millennial travels without No millennial travels without psychiatric medication. This is honestly, by the way, a very weird description. Is this supposed to be a joke, or is this like a negative thing against millennials? I actually still don't know what this term really means, but it's a group of, people who I think were born around the 2000s, I think. This is strangely, I don't know, aggressive against a certain group of people, I feel. Which in this context of this game feels a little bit off, honestly. Ultimately, the human mind is merely the product of very complicated chemical reactions. In the right pocket, I'll hide a power bank, pack of cigarettes. Power bank for the handy, interesting, but will we ever be able to charge that? Pack of cigarettes would be good as money, right? I'm gonna take this instead, cigarettes. A smoke a day keeps the doctor away. I can't fit anything else. Into my backpack. With a sense of a job well done, I sink into my armchair. But I don't even get a moment to enjoy the feeling. The intercom buzzes. When I hear the buzz, I freeze. It must be Hella. She's here to pick up the cat, like we arranged. It's been 2 years since I last saw her. I got over her and built myself from the ground up. But I still hold a grudge. And now, we are just a few flights of stairs from another meeting. When I look into her face again after all this suffering, I got over her, so we've been a pair, right? I'll show her how great I'm doing without her. I'll take out all my frustrations on her. I'll treat her normally like a regular acquaintance. So, we invited our ex-girlfriend, probably because we want her to take care of the cat, right? So there is already communication, even though we haven't seen each other. This is not an unexpected meeting. So why would I choose any of these negative things? I'll treat her normally, like a regular... Yeah, how dare you taking care of my cat? I hate you. Doesn't make sense in this context, I feel. Yeah, I'll treat her normally, of course. Like a regular acquaintance. That's what we are to each other. Acquaintances. We went our separate ways, and that's good. I can hear footsteps. In the stairwell, I wait at the door. It draws me like a magnet. Should I shake her hand or kiss her cheek? Offer her coffee or get it over with and forget it? The doorbell rings. I open the door. Hella. Looks older. She is older, of course. But it's not about maturing. She just looks unwell, tired, and almost unhappy. Hi, she says. I'll grab the cat and go. My chick's double parked in front of your building. Here we go. As soon as she opens her mouth, she brags about someone waiting for her. She's stealing the cards as usual. What is our character's problem? I mean, okay, so our character really has some packages. I mean, we learned that he's... I'm referring to our character as a he, because I'm playing that, you know. So, and of course, girlfriend, maybe more. So, okay, so we are taking antidepressants. We are putting our lives on the risk, gonna go out for refugees, our ex-girlfriend comes on, and we are already contemplating to say something negative, even though we're having a good thing. We're making a deal, she's taking care of our cat, right? So, someone is parking there, so, okay, she's just essentially saying, okay, sorry, I don't have much time, I'm gonna take the cat, and then it's bye-bye. Which also, like, she's our ex-girlfriend, maybe ex-wife, who knows. Which, I mean, makes sense, right? It's an awkward meeting, I get that. But why is our character immediately taking it so negative? And why don't I really have a choice to influence that? What is our character's problem here? She's dealing the cards as usual. No, she's just making a neutral statement, you asshole! Sorry for the words. What? Let me just put Angels into his crate real quick, I'll tell her. You haven't done it yet? Huh. She asked with what seems to be a passive aggression in her voice. Well, it's a time thing. Our flight is going, and it kind of makes sense to prepare that, right? What? It'll take me 1 second. Let's go with that. Even though we already defined our character's personality as neutral. This is, I don't know. Why is this? Well, good. Doesn't say final the cut. Take me 1 second, sorry. Okay, I think in the options menu earlier I made the text large. Interesting that this is only able in the main menu, not doing the game. Why? Bit sad. But, yeah. As I made the text bigger now, it's a little bit sad that this is now grayed out. This has to be... It's just a tiny thing, but... This tells me essentially that this is not meant to be read, even though it is. I call Angels by his name. He doesn't react. He's nowhere to be seen. Again, he's hiding. Awkward minutes pass. Hila stands in the doorway watching my frantic search. She doesn't say a word. Finally, I find the cat and try to put him into the crate. He's fighting me, refusing to go in. I'm embarrassed. In the end, I manage it somehow. I hand the crate to Hila. Well, get going, she says. It was nice seeing you. Uh-huh. She holds a hand out to me. Yeah, of course you shake it. Touching her feels strange. Memories from our night together and walking trips outside the city in the spring flash before my eyes. I remember all the wild retreats that we explored on weekends. Hila lets go of my hand first. She stares at the floor, flustered. Take care of yourself, you know, in Africa. Text me when you land or something, she says. Keep an eye on him, okay? I reply, motioning at the crate. 1 hour later, I'm off to the air. She is nice! Why are we such a dick? Whoa! 1 hour later, I'm off to the airport. Alright, let's go. Let's become Poland, Belarus. Okay, there we go. Nice animation. Cool. Act 0. That's the developer. Cool. We, the refugees. Ticket to Europe. Written by can't pronounce that, I'm sorry. Act 1. Click here to proceed. Let's go. Chapter 2. Alexandria, Day 1. Do we have anything in our notebook? Not yet. Borg El Arab Airport in Alexandria. The lounge is rectangular, spacious and 10 or so meters tall. Its interior bright with natural light entering through the glass walls. The colors are muted, mostly beige, light brown, and various shades of gray. Here and there, a palm tree sticks out of let me try this again. Here and there, a palm tree sticks out of a tube-shaped flower pot. An attempt to animate the otherwise bland space. Also, it looks like speaking of space, there's a double space here, I see that. The Mediterranean neon vibe puts me in vacation mode. This is a new reality. I don't know. I mean, this actually looks more like vacation, sure. Tech-added relaxation, we probably need this. State. Not gonna last that long. This feels good. Cigarettes. This job feels even cooler when I light one up. The Great Tide. Okay, these are our current tags. My body has a Pavlovian reaction to the new environment. I actually don't know what that means. But that might be my lack of English terms. Pavlovian. My muscles relax as I become more observant and sensitive to stimuli. I know this feeling well, though I'd almost forgotten it existed. I grin broadly and take a deep breath. Even the air smells familiar. Of paid vacation days. The smell of air-conditioned heat. Nothing here is very different from Europe. The layout of the airport, the signaling inside, the architecture too. Except for the palm trees, maybe. And the ubiquitous choppy waves of the Arabic alphabet. And yet, somehow, it all feels unmistakably different to me. And it's not even about the other travelers being dressed in Muslim garments. This woman's abaya, or that man's jalabia. What I see has not changed much, but how I see it has. Freedom. I'm under the spell of a traveler's freedom. Adventure calls. Curiosity beckons. My senses are heightened. This ordinary airport, one of thousands of such boring and predictable non-places, suddenly become an intriguing and self-sufficient microcosm full of secrets. I look at the ground service people. Suddenly, they are more than uniforms to me. I imagine the potentially fascinating life stories behind them. I'm ravenous for novelty. According to my itinerary, I'm hungry. New notebook entry, Egypt first impressions, interesting. Hunger. I need to eat something. Nutrition is important if I want to continue as a living organism. And notebook? I wrote down my first impressions as soon as my plane landed in Egypt, okay? Cool. I have nothing else planned for today. On the margins of my research notes, alongside the underlined phone numbers, I only find a short reminder from my publisher. A subtle suggestion to call my fixers and set up some meetings once I've landed. The first one, I check out the second set of What's the difference here? Again, the game doesn't tell me. I think back to my conversation with the publisher. I studied the research dossier first. At subtle suggestion to call my fixers and set up meeting once I've landed. Okay, so what's the difference between the first one, ... or the second set of contact details? I don't have the info as a gamer, as a player. I guess I study the research dossier first? Let's go with that. I want to refresh my knowledge about Egypt. Dazed by dozens of numbers and statistics, my eyes randomly stop at this fact. Egypt is the biggest importer of grain in the world. 60% of its supply is met this way. 80% of its grain trade is with Russia and Ukraine. Disturbing the supply chain would likely cause famine in the region. I read the conclusion, which usually leads to social unrest, political revolutions, and an increased scale of migration. I can't go that far. Globalization? If something can be fucked up, it will be fucked up. I guess the first question mark? I don't know. Globalization is a system of communicating vessels. If that were ever to happen, the entire economic system we live in a world have to collapse. Unlikely. I take a look at my fixers' phone numbers. Again, I don't know the difference between the first one, dots, and I check out the second set of contact. I'm choosing this because this has more detail. And this actually refers to my second set of detail. So, I don't know. His name is Isaac and he's a native Egyptian. His profile reads... Why do I need to click this? Isaac, or actually Ishaq Ahmed Mahmoud Ahmed Mohammed, a so-called fixer, someone who lives off his contacts. People say he can get hold of anyone in Alexandria. Or at least he says so. He charges for literally everything. It shouldn't surprise you if he bills you even for picking up. He often disappears for a few days. Likely an active member of the criminal underground. Warning, a shady guy, stay vigilant. His personal data is incomplete. The date and place of birth are missing, and there's a cartoon of Robin Hood instead of his photo. There's only his phone number and the detailed address of his place of residence. I have another personal contact here, the first one. So it's not really a choice, I can look at both anyway, I didn't know that. A Belgian volunteer. The researcher clearly did his job and included some personal remarks to the standard profile. Eric Sonkap, a humanitarian aid legend, used to volunteer in Europe, but has recently launched his own project in Africa. An idealist, kind of a hippie, a man of action, always busy, rarely picks up his phone during the day, sometimes calls back past 11 p.m., sometimes, rarely. Call him multiple times a day, don't call back. Age circa 65, but acts much younger. Attached an email QA with Eric. Yeah, let's have a look at the interview. Yeah, this is great. Again, I chose to have large text, and now I can't read this properly. That is... The UI needs more improvement on this. Well, we can scroll up, at least. I take a look at the interview with Eric. I read several questions about random out of the 57. Okay, many sound familiar. After all, I did help the researcher make a list. Question 8. What are the potential dangers for people sailing on a boat? Yeah. Let's go with that. Sinking and drowning. What do refugees eat on their journey? They do not. Question 24. What is the daily cost of maintaining one immigrant at the camp? They are refugees, not immigrants, and you can Google it. That is a stupid answer. What would happen if someone on the camp were a member of... What are these questions? A member of ISIS? No answer. Do you know any examples of the refugees' creative work, such as songs, poems, and drawing? What? That's also weird. Yes, all of these. If so, which ones? Come and see for yourself the other questions. The other questions and answers are written in a similar vein. Eric usually gives short yes-no answers to my 3-sentence inquiries and mini-essays. If he has to write a whole sentence, he disregards style, grammar, and punctuation. I actually like this, that there's personality in these answers, and it's actually called... What an arrogant prick. He has bigger things on his mind, right? I actually have to agree right now. That Eric guy seems kinda arrogant. I know the type. An oversensitive egomaniac convinced of his own moral superiority. I'm almost sure that for him, humanitarianism is a mere pretext to look down on the rest of the world. He can't be taller than 170. Why? That's it, nothing more. By the way, I think this should be one thing. The M should be on the O, but that's a different thing. That's it. That's all the materials I've got to read. There's only one thing left. I need to answer the simple yet fundamental question at this stage of the trip. How will I spend my first day in Africa? At the back of my head, I still have my publisher's ominous warning not to fuck around. My itinerary includes just 3 days in Egypt, and the budget is not made of rubber, as Jersey likes to say. I actually misclicked. I think the other one was fuck around. Whatever, yeah, I have no time to spare. The sooner I get to the refugees, the faster I can find a boat and cross the Mediterranean and get back to Europe, finish the book, and go back to my former life. The one I've just escaped by going to Africa. But maybe I won't have to come back? What if the book becomes a bestseller and this is my life now? Double spacey again. A never-ending book tour. Motivated by the vision of a better future, I decided. I mean, has it been? Apparently we have a contract with a publisher, right? So we are not a complete amateur writer, it seems. Otherwise, we wouldn't have these contexts. But how accomplished are we? I mean, it's an interesting premise, but what does this tell us about our character? That he's already daydreaming? Man, this is gonna be bestseller. We do know he's depressed as well. So interesting, like how much we can learn about the character. But what does it tell me as a writer and what his mindset is? It's a very negative mindset, it seems, as we've learned with the, what he thought about his ex-girlfriend. And now he's already dreaming about this being a bestseller book. And I get that. If you put in your passion into something, you always dream big. Again, but what does that tell us about this character, I wonder? Is that a good thing, or is he a little bit delusional? I don't know. But that's what I just want to start writing right away. Let's call... Eric was the arrogant prick. Let's call Isaac. Let's go with that. I count the tones. 1, 2, 5. The operator informs me that the number I'm trying to reach is currently unavailable. Or at least I assume he does, because I can barely understand Arabic. I try again, to no avail. Isaac must be doing his shady business, as shady guys do. Maybe I'll find him at home? Yeah. After all, I know the address. This way at least I'll be sure he won't charge me for doing me the great honor of picking up his phone. Is this really such a great idea though? Paying a surprise visit to a man described as a shady guy to stay vigilant around? I mean, there's a reason we got this contact, right? So, it sounds risky, just the kind of thing I should do. Yeah, why not? Ooh, I like this map here in the background. I disregard the inflated prices and get into a taxi at the airport car park. The young driver, a kid no older than 20, belongs to the new generation of the Egyptians. He speaks English no problem and understands me immediately when I give him the address. However, unlike old-fashioned taxi drivers, he doesn't even try to be sociable. The moment he pulls out of his car park, he starts blasting American rap, black gangster beats from the Bronx. I think I would admire the landscapes. The airport is 40 kilometers away from the city center. The 4-lane beltway leads through the bland plains. There's concrete and sun-dried vegetation. More concrete though. Here and there, there's a fruit stall standing on the side of the road. The driver... Okay guys, I'm actually gonna skip ahead once we meet Isaac. See ya in a second. What just happened is that the driver said something about, hey man, I can take you on a side note to the beach. And then he was like, okay, do you want to take a picture? And I only had, again, some very not conclusive or not clear decisions. I said, I think it was just drive me further, or I took the chance to say, okay, I would like to stand here. Yeah, I love this. This is my agent, says the driver, pulling into a parking lot. Would you like to take a picture? So I thought, you know what? Sure, let's take a picture. I choose the selection which I want to stay here. Well, unfortunately, I pay for the ride and thank the driver for showing me the place, and I get out of the car. I didn't mean that. And now I'm spontaneous, but also inconsistent. Some call it inconsistency, others call it open-mindedness, spontaneous. Can be both a vice and a virtue. It depends on the situation and the eye of the beholder. I didn't mean that. I thought I would just take a picture because that was the question. And the only option I received were either to drive further along and ignore the question essentially, or, well, get out of the car. And this happened even though I thought I would just make a picture. Instinctively, I take my shoes off. The hot sand gets between my toes and massages my feet. Although it's late January, the temperature in Alexandria can reach up to 25 degrees Celsius. I walk up to the surf, or I pick a restaurant, sure. Chapter 3. Alexandria, Day 2. Some documents came for you. From the tax office. I guess they sent them to your old address. The voice seems familiar. Mom? No, that's impossible. All I see is darkness. Muddled thoughts in my head. This isn't making any sense. I think I'm still asleep. You know, to the house in Zelensee. The voice continues. There was some mix-up, I think. I answer my sleep? Mom, I'm trying to sleep, I answer my sleep. Did I wake you up? I hear her ask. Sorry, I'll check up on you tomorrow. I open my eyes. In my hotel room, no family members inside. I feel anxious. Something isn't quite right. I can drop them off tomorrow. On my way to work, my mother continues. Maybe we could have some coffee? What's going on? I look around. Oh, I'm holding my phone to my ear. I must have picked it up in my sleep. Turns out I'm not dreaming after all. Shit. What does she mean she'll come by tomorrow? I'm in Egypt. Suddenly, I'm thinking straight again. Right, I haven't told her about Africa. On purpose. She would have held a sit-in or a hunger strike in my doorway to prevent me from going. What time is good for you? 7? I take a moment to think. About how to get out of this. I tell her the truth. I'm not in Warsaw. I've gone to Africa. Well, come back right this minute, she reacts immediately. While you still can. Why didn't you tell me? Where exactly are you? I'm booking your flight back to Warsaw as we speak. It was a bad idea to talk to Mom about Egypt after all. Mom's fear fall on fertile ground. I'm getting anxious myself, sure. Africa is unpredictable. Unstable political situations. Religious fundamentalists, local warlords. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to danger. Also, I've heard. So first off, what I liked last night before I went to bed was that with the different notebook entries, Egypt First Impression of the American Dream that I gathered from the taxi driver, this one, I essentially, my character sat down and with these notebooks started to write this book. So in the mechanical overlaying sense, I very much like that. That's cool. Also, again, the animation and the background arts here are very beautiful. Also, when I went to sleep, like my hunger attack and so disappeared, that's kind of cool. But now we start up with this kind of, are we dreaming, are we not dreaming? And this is a writer with a publisher who prepared to go and make this research. So I find this a little bit hard to believe that he doesn't know all these dangers and now, I mean, maybe he starts to panic. But why with his mother and why giving us as a player this false sense of security if he's dreaming or not? That is, I don't know. That's a choice. I don't want to complain. It's just that it feels a bit weird to me. So I don't still understand what this game is trying to go for. Like, it feels less and less like a choose your own adventure game and more essentially just this kind of, what is this term? I think kinetic novel or so. So we can't really, we have some stuff, but so far it seems like whatever we do, we can't really influence anything. At least it seems very vague, because even if we have a choice, we don't really, it's not clear. I'm gonna play a bit longer though. Alright, we finally decided to try and go and see Isaac now. Hopefully I'm not taking a weird wrong choice again that prevents me from that. I do like when the game tells you like this, for example. The development has been influenced by other decisions you made. So I'm now in a taxi which takes me to Isaac's place in an upmarket, touristy district in the center of the city. I pass the cafe located right by the front door of his building. I get to the front door. Ooh. Text missing thief. So we could have been a thief somehow? I get to the front door. I call his apartment number on the intercom. Hello? A voice says. Who's there? I introduce myself. There's a moment's pause. Oh, you're Yurek's guy. The mysterious speaker realizes. 4th floor. Beep, goes the door. As I open it, I enter the staircase. Finally, success. Excited, I run to the 4th floor, hopping 3 stairs at a time. The door to Isaac's apartment is ajar. I walk in and I come to face to face with a man wearing his briefs. Okay, the development has been influenced by other decisions you've made. Interesting. Compare with the man wearing his brief. He's around 30, completely unfazed by his near nudity. He ushers me in with a wave of his hand. He's plump and short, his figure almost resembling a soccer ball. His hefty gut is partially covered by a stale, unbuttoned shirt, which looks like he wore it to sleep. What brings you to here, my friend? Asked Isaac, yawning widely. At such an ungodly hour. I glance at my watch. It's 9 a.m. Well, I'm here on business. I explain that I'm here to do business with him. I need information. Excellent. Information and businesses are my specialty. Let me tell you what happens next. You get your wallet ready, and accept that you may have to go down to the ATM. Information is dear, and the price is higher before noon. he announces. In the meantime, I'll get ready for a conversation, though some consider me to be a man of no principle. I have my code. I don't do business before my morning shit. And he looks himself in the bathroom. Oh, that's a nice apartment, wow. And he looks himself in the bathroom. I'm left alone in an entertainment room with a 3-seater sofa, a large flat-screen TV, a solid bar stacked with bottles of expensive liquor, and a exercise bike, there should be an, which is clearly going unused, or rather is used as a clothes hanger. Not a single book. I take a tour of the apartment. I sit down and couch and wait. It's a bit weird that Isaac just let a stranger, so I guess this is a thought. Are we supposed to go to the ATM? This is so weird. Like, the character tells me, you know, you're about to pay, you should go to the ATM. At least that's why I understood. So why is my option not to go down to the ATM or look for an ATM, but instead just wait, think, or look at the apartment? Shouldn't it be one of my choices to go out and look for an ATM? That's what I feel like. This is what the game or what the character told me, but my choices are not associated with that. I take a tour of the apartment. Isaac's apartment is about 100 square meters. It consists of 4 rooms. The living room, a kitchen, a bedroom, and an office. If I have to wait, maybe I can gather some information on my source's life. Well, let's go to the office, sure. Let's snuff around. The desk is empty. It's unused. A comfortable armchair stands in a corner by a bookshelf. Instead of books, piles of international and local newspapers occupy the shelves. Isaac seems to be mostly interested in current affairs. The Scientific American catches my eyes, along with with what appears to be Islamic religious bulletins. A telephone rings, interrupting my exploration. Can you pass me my iPhone? Isaac shouts from the bathroom. I follow the sound of the ringtone to the coffee table in the living room. Isaac cracks the bathroom door open. He's squatting over a hole in the floor where a toilet would normally be installed. He seems unfazed. I pass him the phone. My nostrils are instantly clogged with the stench of shit, stale and perfumed. That's a hungover person's shit after a night of heaving drinking. Clearly, Isaac must have had an entertaining evening. I close the door and... Interesting that so far of what I've learned from the character, I would have guessed that we would glance at the iPhone to who's calling, but apparently this is not mentioned at all. Listen into the conversation, sure. Again, space is missing here, lucky. He's speaking English. I have a guest now, he says. No, not that kind. Never before noon, voila. Not if I can help it. Well, maybe it can be done. I need to stop by the Brotherhood first. None of your business. I don't need to explain myself. If you don't like it, go elsewhere. Yes, I'll be there. The splash of a toilet flushing. I thought it was just a hole. At least that's what I think at first. But then again, Isaac's... okay, I do like that this is combined now. But then again, Isaac's squad toilet may just have a bited hose attached. I get back to the couch. Meanwhile, Isaac gets out of the bathroom refreshed and feeling like $1 million. I've taken my shit, he announces. But my plans have changed. We're going to go out for a walk and talk on the way. I have some errands to run. This is, by the way, interesting. Like, Isaac gets out of the bathroom refreshed and feeling like $1 million. So, because how this game or how this book is written so far is from the perspective of our character. But this sentence right here essentially is from a different perspective and feeling like $1 million. Not like, because otherwise it would say, and looking like he's feeling like $1 million. No, the game tells us, or the book is clearly written in this very instant from Isaac's perspective. Meanwhile, Isaac gets out of the bathroom refreshed and feeling like $1 million. I mean, our character doesn't know this, and it's not like our character thinks this. It's just, this is kind of a break of writing perspective, which is unusual to say the least. I've taken my shit, but my plans have changed. We're going to go out for a walk and talk on the way. I have some errands to... Yeah, that's fine by me, sure. You know nothing, Jon Snow, says Isaac, quoting the hit HBO series. Then, he gives me a friendly pat on the shoulder. He opens the other wardrobe and pulls out an ironed, tailored suit. That's business attire. No ifs and or buts about it. He laughs, and I feel pissed. If you knew what he was going to wear all along, why the hell did he need my help? It's more fun, you see, he replies, sliding into his jacket. You're great to piss off. It's so funny when your ears get all red. 3 hours pass. Between the moment I met Isaac and when he's finally showered, suited up, and ready to leave. At the front door, he checks himself out in the mirror one last time and freezes with a disturbed look on his face. Shit, I haven't shaved. My palm spontaneously curls up into a fist. I am about to hit this man right in his smug face. If we waste even a minute more. I'm joking, he says, laughing. Let's go, we're late anyway. So he had to go through the whole spa experience only to be led to a meeting? Jokes again, exclaims Isaac, cheerfully, and pats me on the shoulder. We're not late, we got plenty of time. Perfect for a relaxing walk. He leads me out onto the staircase. Once he's out of the apartment, his previously lethargic demeanor gives way to a lively energy. Sorry for the reading there. 3 stops, he says, bouncing down the stairs preppily. The Muslim Brotherhood, my business partner, the Syrians, and so on. Religious fundamentalists, the escapees who fear them, and the bridge that keeps it all together. You're about to see a cross-section of Alexandria. You won't be disappointed. We walk out onto a busy street. At this time of day, it's full of local passerby and tourists. Isaac stops for a moment and takes a deep breath of air. Exhaust fumes, sweat, and bubbling oil. This is the smell of home, my beloved Alexandria, the city of possibilities and wasted hopes. Disappointment is so lucrative. People are looking at us. I noticed that several people, mostly the vendors at the local fruit or souvenir stalls, are looking at us and murmuring outraged remarks under their breath, as if Isaac's presence was controversial or scandalizing in some way. I glance at the waiter talking to a police patrol at the local cafe. He looks away. We walk on. So I think this is a moment where I'm gonna wrap it up right now, ladies and gentlemen. I played this now for pretty much exactly 1 hour, and I feel like this game is still trying to build up what's going on. And yeah, we have a few tags, we have a few notebook entries, and let's give you my honest opinion so far. 1 second. I do like there's apparently a street football. So now there's even a timer, which goes on if I don't click something. That's a new mechanic so far. Let me have some. Interesting. I do like, first off, the background. I also like when our character apparently moves through the city and drives through the city, that there's essentially this travel marker, which is very cool. So this makes it more lively, and the atmosphere is very well done. The music, even though, I mean, it's clearly background music and meant that way, but it's good music and it really fits the overall theme. So visually, and from the feeling, from the atmosphere, by also the sound effects when we're at the airport, there's some background nuzzle people talking, so very, very well done. That really gets you into the mood. That's cool. Again, the art style is also cool. And on theory, I also like the idea of these tags, that we have items, that we have apparently tags how our character is and how he feels at the moment. Like right now, I waited this entire time for Isaac, now I'm patient. Patience is a virtue, though some consider the placid sister of desperation. And these seem to have somewhat of an influence, as you guys saw earlier. Apparently, if we have the thief tag, which I never encountered, but I guess if I did do different choices, I could have stolen something apparently. And then I would have had this thief tag, and that would have had at least a flavor difference when we went to Isaac. So there seem to be some different approaches and narrative branches, which I very much like. My main problem is twofold. First off, these choices are not obvious. So my character is very very forcibly designed, and they don't really seem to be that much in coherence with these tags. That's my impression so far, at least. Because we saw that with the girlfriend and so, and sometimes we only have negative choices or at best in neutral. So we have a set character that we're supposed to follow along with and have minor options to influence him. Despite the tags, despite what we can choose, there's he always has a bad thought about his ex-girlfriend, for example, right? Which is well, interesting to say the least. That is okay, but then again, I don't really see what the game is going for. With the mechanical level of the choices we can pick, the text we can have, and how the character describes things and behaves in the text things. That's my biggest gripe so far, because that seems not coherent to me. And please tell me, maybe I'm wrong with that, maybe I have the wrong description. That's also why I do these videos. I want to showcase interesting games to you guys, but I'm also always open for discussion. You know, this is a first impression series. I'm going to showcase this, experience this together with you guys, and then tell you my honest opinion. But I'm always open for a discussion on all things. But yeah, this is my problem. We have text which seem at best have a minor influence, which I guess we're still on a setup phase because we haven't become a refugee. There's definitely more coming up, but these choices often are not clear to me. What kind of path awaits me when I pick something? Sometimes they are, but most of the times they are very vague. As the writing, overall there's a few typos, a few very minor grammar things, but those are very, very minor. Not really a problem. The writing style is, I don't know, a bit pompous, to say the least. It's really drawn out and feel like it wants to sound smarter than it necessarily is. And I don't know, I feel a bit, I'm someone who really likes to read Stephen King, and one of the criticism that Stephen King gets usually is, you know, like the first 50% of the book is just a little bit of some build-up, and anything else is just flavor, so to speak. And then the book starts, so to speak. He really likes to over-explain stuff. I like that, so I think I'm actually more of the target audience this game wants to be. But again, even I feel like this is a bit too drawn out so far. And I'm fine with that kind of writing style usually. But, so take that, I don't know, take that with a grain of salt. Hard to tell. I want to get into the main meat of this game, question mark. But it's still in the setup phase, which is fine, but it feels a bit drawn out. I don't know. Does this make sense what I'm trying to tell you guys right now? And also, so we have this drawn out dialogue. And then again, with the mechanic thing, maybe I got this wrong. I guess maybe my expectation going into this game was again more of a choose your own adventure style game with nice setup, nice music, and we have inventory, we have character options, and those are all here. But so far it feels way too much like a kinetic novel. There are apparently some choices, but they are so hard to grasp that I don't know how to operate with this. I still feel very much railroaded. Because I pick something and then something happens mechanically here, and sometimes I pick something and in the text something else happens. So there's this, I don't know, disconnect of the three elements of like the text, my choices, and what is here. And that feels frankly frustrating. And I still don't know what the game wants me to experience and what I want to go through. And this might very well just stem that I had a wrong impression, expectation going into this game, which I'm very much open for. So right now, I've played this for 1 hour. And the writing, yeah, it's a bit pompous, it's a bit drawn out, but overall it's still good enough. And it's, I guess, to have that as a positive, by the way, it has a nice flow. So that's a lot of text here, and it has a nice flow to read through. And given the amount of text, that's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. If this would be, even though and the game gives you a lot of hard to read terms and so on, with fundamentalists, it's really drawn out with a thing of actually very deep stuff, and still it's possible to read through that. That, again, the writing style and the flow of it, definitely a thumbs up. That is a very, very positive thing. This would be a complete break if this did not have a good flow. It does have a good flow, please. So that's a good thing. again, but now I'm in this. I played this for an hour and I still don't know what to really expect from this game, and I feel railroaded even though there seem to have choices. I think this disconnection of these three elements mentioned earlier is my biggest gripe with the game so far. And it might get better once we become a refugee and when essentially the main meat of the game starts to come. But as a first impression, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. When we finally become a refugee, I mean, finally. Please take this in the context of the game. Again, this is a serious aspect and a serious theme. Please take this in the context of this game. When we finally become a refugee. I really hope none of us will ever experience this. And I very much appreciate what this game is going for. But yeah, I hope later on in this game, when we become a refugee, when we have to manage more of our resources and tax, so to speak, that the choices are also more obvious, and this is just the setup phase. But as a setup phase to become a refugee, I don't know what to think so far. This was a weird experience. More on the negative and more on the frustrating side than the positive, but there are positives. And again, very nice flow, very nice art style, very nice audio. I think it's literally this disconnect of how clear are the choices and what can I expect when I pick a choice and what can I not expect when I pick a choice. What do I gain from these things and how does it detect? These three, they need to correlate better in my honest opinion. But of course, this is just my opinion. Feel free to tell me what you think of Ticket to Europe, We the Refugees. Maybe I got this wrong. I'm very open. I see the potential. I see this being interested. And I see myself coming back to this game to experience more of this. But as a first impression so far, I think this is what I can tell you guys. Yeah, please tell me what you think. I'm very, very much interested because I feel like this can go either way. I think this tends to go to lean more into a kinetic novel and less towards a choose your own adventure book, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's gonna open up later on. Please tell me what you think. Like seriously, I'm very, very much interested. Also, now we have this time again at her McDonald's. Isaac's phone is constantly running, giving us time. Finally, Isaac stops chatting on the phone. So we had choices, but there's also a time limit, which later on might be very interesting and important when we have to make some quick decisions, right? When we really try to survive. But yeah, that's my first impression so far. I feel like I'm going to just repeat myself here. I think I did that already too much, so sorry for that. Thank you very much if you actually listened and watched to this point of the video. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Please consider sharing this video. Please tell me your opinion. I feel like with this, it's very, very cool to have, like, of course, reasonable discussions surrounding this game. But regardless, make sure to stay awesome, and we're gonna see each other in the next video. Thank you for watching.